Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SF Live. I'm Myrna Lim, your host. Tonight we have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine who I served with in the Planning Commission under former Mayor Willie Brown. We had such a blast, although I have to admit, we accomplished a lot as well. A very serious San Franciscan. He served as a commissioner of police commission. He served as the commissioner of the Parks and Recreation Commission and served with me in the Planning Commission. He served as a carpenter for 30 years in the executive committee of the Carpenters Union, and he is the current president of the Latino Democratic Club. This election is very important for the city of San Francisco, and Mr. Jim Salinas has a lot to say and a lot of illumination that he can provide us as far as how the election is going, what's at stake here for the citizens of San Francisco, and what's at stake for San Francisco itself. So, good evening, Commissioner. Welcome. How are you?
Commissioner, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. It's been a long time.
Yes, it is. So, tell us, as the president of the Latino Democratic Club, you have seen all the candidates for mayor, for sheriff, for district attorney, and for the different initiatives, right? And the mayor's race is such a difficult race considering that there's 16 candidates running for the same spot, and that these guys are like the heavy hitters of San Francisco politics. You've got a senator, you've got a public defender, you've got a city attorney, you've got the president of the board of supervisors. Name it. They're all there. So, what is your take on what's happening in the election, given that the election is tomorrow?
Well, some interesting times for sure, Commissioner, and I hope you don't mind if I refer to you. I can't help but refer to you as Commissioner. I always have. But in any event, I just want to say that the difference in this race, and I'm a native San Franciscan born and raised here in the Mission District, the difference here is the ranked choice voting. I think that's the critical factor that everybody has to keep in mind. And we started out with 36 candidates, and on the official city ballot, we obviously saw 16 candidates. And you're absolutely correct. You have the president of the Board of Supervisors, David Chu. You have a senator with a long established history here in San Francisco. You have, Michaela Alioto from the Alioto family. You have all of the folks that people know. You have the city attorney, Dennis Herrera,
Right.
who has been around for the last 20 years. And so you're right. When you use the term heavy hitters, they are all the heavy political hitters.
Right. And so a lot of these people have been running for a long time. Senator Leland Yee, who has had 25 years of a good run, not having lost an election in the last 25 years, he's he's one of the top contenders for the seat, and he was poised to, win the election before the interim mayor decided to not give up the seat. What do you think about that?
Well, it's obviously interesting. Obviously, Leland's been around. I've known Leland since he served on the Board of Education.
Yeah, me too.
I was able to, as the political liaison for the Carpenters Union, I've worked with Leland since the day he got on the Board of Supervisors. Right. He's always been very supportive of labor. So he has a long and well-established history here. And as I've often referred to him as having a solid gold platinum track record, one that you could go back, and if you want to know who somebody is, obviously you got to go back and see what it is they've accomplished or not accomplished. Want to state that we're the only trade union in the city that endorsed only one candidate. Although people have said, was that folly or was it? And what I've said to people when they've said, when they've questioned the stance was that Leland had a solid gold track record with members of the Carpenters Union and the building trades as a whole. He really has a solid gold platinum track record. He's been there solid behind labor issues and labor and helping to put working men and women to work from day one. never did I ever see Leland step out of sync with the issues that confronted working men and women. And I just don't just say the labor community, but working men and women as a whole. He cares about people, and it shows in his actions. I do recall one vote at the Board of Supervisors where I thought maybe I should run up and say, Leland, maybe this is not a fight you want to carry. But he did. He stood solidly with working men and women, and I think that distinguishes him from others. I know all of the candidates. I've known the current interim mayor for 20 years. I met him when he was the head of the Human Rights Commission, when he was the chief administrative officer, when he was the chief purchasing agent for the city, and to some minor extent I've dealt with him through my organization when he was the head of DPW. Have known Dennis Herrera for 20 years as well. Was my vice president when I first served my first term as the president of the San Francisco Latino Democratic Club. Dennis was my vice chair. And he's also the one that followed me when I came off the police commission. I asked if he would seriously consider serving on the police commission to continue to have a Latino presence on the police commission. So David Chu, I've had some experiences with as a member of the Board of Supervisors, and also the president, Michaela Alioto. Bevan Duffy. Bevan and Michaela are the other two that have super good, solid track records with labor. And so there's a myriad of folks that are running this time around. And the one thing that comes to mind when I think of this race, as opposed to races during the last 30 years, is that there's ranked choice voting. And we all saw the outcome of ranked choice voting in Oakland. So there's cause for concern. There's cause for concern there because to me it's important that it be the will of the citizens here in San Francisco that an individual, he or she, ultimately end up in room 200 and leading the city, because we have a degree of problems that I've not seen in certainly 30 years. Obviously, the economy in the country is not well, and San Francisco is feeling the effects as well. So it's important that we have real leadership in room 200, and there are folks that have track records that we all need to look back at and say, well, who's done what? And I would hope that that's what. Hopefully, it's not the political mailers that we get in the mail, because that really doesn't always tell the story. So
well, the thing that kind of really concerns me is, the reports, coming out of the Ethics Commission as far as all the independent expenditures, and boy, there's some serious monies coming out of IT companies. Venture capital firms, Wall Street firms, and so forth, on behalf of this, interim mayor, and it's really disturbing.
Well, it's unlike anything we've ever seen. Obviously, you saw that there were 5 candidates on the steps of City Hall within the last few days, calling for certain agencies, governmental agencies, to come in and oversee the elections. It kind of just monitor the elections to make sure that everything's on the up and up. It's not something we, at least in my lifetime, and I'm a native San Franciscan, born and raised here. I've lived here my entire life. I've voted here since the first day. I've never missed an opportunity to vote, and it's not anything I've ever witnessed firsthand. So it's a little alarming to see something like that taking place.
And also the report from Matira and Ross that 80% of the absentees from Chinatown have already been received by the Department of Elections. And considering that, a few days back, there's all of these pictures and videos of people who are supporting the interim mayor, have, camped out and collecting ballots from people. I mean, that's a little bit unusual, to say the least.
I think that's an understatement, Commissioner. But in any event, obviously, that there's been a call from many, not just the candidates, but people throughout different communities, to ask the current district attorney to initiate an investigation. So
who is also running himself. I met him, and we've had him in the show. He's,
Well, we expect people to take their duties seriously, and so we hope that there's going to be
Yeah.
a very thorough investigation, and to see if any of the allegations are true. Obviously, we want to have a fair and equitable, election,
Right.
and the process shouldn't be tainted. I mean, you hear some of the rhetoric now in Oakland about what happened with the current mayor
Right.
and whether or not she has a real mandate, and it's hard to lead under that kind of a cloud.
Right.
So
Right.
we need somebody in room 200 that's going to be able to lead, that everybody feels has integrity, that we all
Right.
have trust, and confidence in that
Right.
individual, that they took on the role for a reason and one specific reason, and that's that they wanted to serve the community as a whole, not just obviously, groups of interests, but the city as a
Yeah.
whole. Everybody has the right to be, heard, and their issues and their neighborhood's issues are of
Right.
importance to us all.
Well, what's bothersome to me would be the fact that the position is supposed to be interim, and the interim mayor was appointed on the premise that I mean, he wasn't gonna run, and then suddenly, then the debate was, well, he has the right to change his mind. No, he doesn't have the right to change his mind. It's like going into a contract with somebody. If you enter into contract with people and they appoint you or give you something on the premise that, okay, we will appoint you to this job, but as you know, 5 of us are already running for that job, and we want to make sure that you're not running for it, because that way we have an even playing field. And then August, like 3 months before the election, suddenly, oh, well, I've changed my mind. It's like, you don't have the right to change your mind.
Well,
If you enter
certainly,
in a contract, you cannot change your mind.
certainly an interesting debate that's been going on for months, given the fact that obviously folks had supported the current mayor, the interim mayor, as a result of the fact that he had no interest in ultimately applying for the job on a permanent
Right.
basis. So, there's some obviously interesting discussions going on around that subject, and certainly with the folks that were the ones that ultimately voted to,
Right.
because obviously all 11 members of the Board of Supervisors supported the idea of having
An interim
this
mayor.
caretaker mayor,
Exactly,
as they
exactly.
refer to. And now you have folks like David Chu and John Avalos, who and obviously Michaela Alioto, all people that
Bevan
voted on
Dufty,
that.
they're already-
Preface Bevan Dufty, I think, who was a key figure in, if I'm not mistaken, he was the swing vote, and we know about swing votes, having served on the planning commission. But in any event, it's an interesting debate that everybody's saying, well, how do you trust folks when they go back on their word, or I wasn't part of the discussion, so I don't know what was said to
Well, I sure
Bevan
hope.
Dufty.
I mean, half of those people that were supervisors are lawyers. You would think they would have had it in writing.
Well-
Statute of frauds. You would have thought.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think you have a law degree or some background in law. But let me just say where I come from, having been a labor leader and having
your
dealt
word
with
should
many,
be your
many.
bond, right? I mean, come on.
Well, truly, Commissioner, let me just say this: that for 30 years, I was able to look at folks, and then we shook hands and we walked away,
Right,
and
exactly.
I expected you to be a person of honor.
Right.
So, in any event, but that's the way some of us operate, and maybe that's not the way.
Scary
everybody
though,
operates.
but
maybe
here's
everything has to be a legal document. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of legal documents. I think people should be able
I mean,
to relate them.
after that, it's like, hello. I mean, come on, David, you went to Harvard for God's sakes. Did you get it in writing? Come on, Dennis, you're the city attorney, for Pete's sakes. Did you get that in writing?
Well, interesting. I'm not sure what the city attorney's role in all of this was, but I think we all like to think of ourselves as being honorable people, and then
Especially if you're
I
supposed to be a
commit
leader,
like I
Well-
said, I don't think we need a legal document. When we agree on something, we're going to follow through on it. Legal documents
Otherwise, I'll
aside.
just have to break your kneecap. Or
Yeah,
something.
and you're good at that. But,
You're giving me way too much credit.
I think your audience should know who you are.
Well, let's talk about these. Okay, there's this some of these people. You know how they play these polling thing, which drives me crazy. When they says, "Oh, it's a done deal. It's a done deal." I mean, to me, that is so dishonorable in that it suppresses your democratic rights. I I had to ban some guy from my Facebook last night. I mean,
Well, that's a pretty serious. Care to give any names,
That's
Commissioner? I'd like to know who it was that was banned from your Facebook account.
well, it was so funny because it's like, okay, I voted this morning, all right? So this guy is saying, "Oh well, I read this article, that it's already a done deal." And I checked. It's okay. Well, it's October. That's about a month ago when you were talking about this article. And second of all, how dare you call out an election even before the first ballot is cast? Like I want to go in the voting booth thinking that my vote will make that kind of difference, and that's what the democratic system is all about. I would like to think. So when somebody is saying, "Oh well, this polling," it's like I didn't get a poll, I didn't get a call. I mean, is that kind of annoying?
Commissioner, I think that's, first of all, personally, I think it's un-American, it's undemocratic.
Exactly.
And it's a real disservice to us all when you say
Exactly.
that your vote doesn't count.
Exactly.
Everything I've ever espoused in my life as an adult has been to encourage people to vote, and we should all
Exactly.
be working hard. Regardless of who you're going to support, that's your choice.
Exactly.
That's the democratic process. So for people to be saying that this race is a done deal, I think is a disservice to us all. And here in San Francisco,
It's
how
obviously
dare
a
somebody
lie.
well, I don't think that. I don't think any of the candidates will actually sit here in this chair and tell you, "Hey, listen, I've got this thing sewn up."
Yeah,
I don't think
exactly.
anybody's going to be in a position to do that because, as far as I know, nobody's gotten anywhere near 50%.
Well,
And as far as I know, in this country, you have to have 50% plus one.
exactly.
So I, like I said, I think it's a real disservice for those people that are running around
Exactly.
saying, "Hey, listen, don't bother voting. This thing's all sewn up. We've got it in the bag." I think that's
Well,
arrogant, to say the least.
and also it's undemocratic because you're right. What it does is it's psychological warfare. Like, okay, in poor countries, right? How do they deprive people of their right to vote? They kill you. They intimidate you. They threaten you. They buy your vote. And if you don't buy your vote or sell your vote, then they harm you. I mean, in America, we're supposed to be able to finesse those type of things. So then, one of the most misused type of tools is this cruel polling. It's like, oh well, 500 of this polled people out of 50 million people said that so and so is going to win. It's like, excuse me, who gives you the right to give this small group of people,
So much power.
so much power? It's like, whatever happened to the rest of them? Chopped liver? So to me, that's just so, it's so offensive.
I could agree with you more. And having been on both sides of polling, I got to say that whenever I've done the little mini polls that they have whenever we do phone banking, when I call your home and I say,
Right.
Ms. Lim, how are you looking to vote? Or I have a candidate. What do you
Right,
think?
right.
I think you're going to do the polite thing and say, "Hey, listen, well, yeah, that sounds," but that's not necessarily how you're going to vote when
Exactly.
you go in and pull the lever and decide
Exactly.
who it really is that's going to lead, in this case, your city. So, having been on both sides where, I've been called when they've been doing polls, and I've been cautious about who I'm giving information to. So
Right.
I don't necessarily, not knowing who is on the other end of the line,
Exactly.
I'm not going to be giving them the right to determine how I'm going to ultimately go in and do a
Exactly.
secret ballot. So I would dare say that most people are like me. You're not really going to give a real factual answer. I
Exactly.
think you're going to give them the polite answer. And then, like I said, I
Right.
think there are times when I'm calling someone and you can hear in their voice that they're hesitant to give you information.
Exactly.
And so they're going to give you the answer that they think that you're looking for just to get you off the phone.
Exactly.
So I don't put a lot of store by these polls. But obviously the political strategists know how to use these polls, and I think
To
you
scare
used the
people,
right
yeah.
I think you used the right term when you said psychological. It's psychological. It's what I always refer to in the labor movement as a paradigm. If I tell you you can't move because your feet are tied, in your head, you've got it in your head that if I get up, I'm tired, I'll fall over.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to. And that's, again, a real disservice. I think it's a real disservice
Yeah.
to the average voter to be told that, hey, listen, don't even bother going to the polls because your vote doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
And it does. And every vote
yes,
counts.
I did. Well, after that, I called my whole family. Did you vote? Did you vote? Did you vote? Backfires.
In my organization, I saw a vote where two votes made a difference, and the history of my organization changed in one fell swoop. Two individuals got lost on the way to the polling, and two votes made the difference.
So we're running out of time.
Sure.
22 minutes goes so fast. What time are you getting up tomorrow, and what time are you going to be cranking out those?
Please know, Commissioner, that I voted on October the 14th.
Okay.
So
no, but tomorrow is.
I'm going to be getting around. Everybody has asked me to come around. Every candidate has asked me to come by, stop by.
Don't you like to do the GOTV thing at 4
I
o'clock
love
in the morning?
Commissioner.
You're
No, I love GOTV. Actually starts for me. GOTV, and I think I'm the foremost expert on GOTV. GOTV starts at 6 when people start to get home.
Right.
And you want to get them to the polling place before 8 p.m.
But you start putting those.
The little reminders on the door hangers.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't you start putting them up like 4 o'clock in the morning or something?
There's some candidates. I used to do that. I think that the last time I did that was for the former mayor. I don't think I do that anymore, Commissioner.
Okay, great. Well, it's we have a few seconds left, and it's been a pleasure having you, Commissioner Salinas, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. But you're a warrior, you're a fighter. You stick through. The things at hand, the problems at hand, and I'm sure whatever happens tomorrow, hopefully San Franciscans go out and vote and do the right thing, because it's for our future and it's for our children's future. And barring all that, for whatever reason, we're here to fight, hopefully. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and good night.